in the middle of the vast ocean. There was an island that local fishermen feared even to talk about. They called it the Island of Death. For decades, anyone who went there never returned. Fishermen said that strange fog surrounded the island at night, and from inside the fog, the sound of a woman crying could sometimes be heard. But for some people, fear itself is an adventure. 5 university students from Karachi, Ali, Zarin, Hamza, Mariam, and Sarah, decided to uncover the mystery of the island. Their goal was to film a documentary and prove that the scary stories were nothing more than myths. Little did they know that this decision would become the biggest mistake of their lives. The journey to the island. It was evening when their small boat moved deeper into the dark sea. Black clouds slowly gathered in the sky, and the waves became stronger. The old fisherman who was sailing them, they kept looking at them with worried eyes. Finally he said, "Children, don't go to that island. Nothing good exists there." Ali laughed. "Uncle, these are just old stories. We are only going there for research." The old fisherman sighed and replied, "I have seen many things in my life, but nothing as terrifying as that island." When the boat finally reached the shore, an unnatural silence surrounded them. There were no birds, no wind, no sounds. It felt as if even nature was afraid of that place. The first night, they stepped onto the island and set up their camp near the trees. The forest was thick and dark. The trees stood like silent guards protecting some terrible secret. As night fell, a cold fog slowly spread across the island. Hamza turned on the camera and said, "This is the first night of our documentary. So far, everything seems normal." But suddenly, a strange sound came from deep inside the forest. It sounded like someone screaming in the distance. Sarah's face turned pale. "Did you hear that?" Ali forced a smile. "It's probably just some animal." But it didn't sound like an animal. It sounded like a human scream. The abandoned village. The next morning, they walked deeper into the island. After a long walk, they discovered something unexpected. An abandoned village. Broken houses stood silently, and dusty roads stretched between them. Everything looked as if the villagers had suddenly disappeared. Mariam whispered, "It feels like people left this place in a hurry." Inside one house, Zain found plates of food still placed on a wooden table, as if someone had been eating, and suddenly vanished. Suddenly, a strong wind slammed the door shut. Bang! Sarah screamed in fear. The strange symbol. In the center of the village stood a huge ancient tree. Strange symbols were carved deeply into its trunk. Hamza moved closer with his camera, and then he froze. Behind the tree, someone was standing. A woman, long black hair, a white dress, and completely black eyes. Hamza blinked in shock. When he looked again, she was gone. That night they decided to stay inside one of the old houses. Around midnight, Mariam suddenly woke up. She felt like someone was standing near her. Slowly she opened her eyes, and her heart nearly stopped. Near the door stood the same woman. Her face was pale. Her eyes were completely black. She slowly whispered, "Why have you come here?" Mariam screamed loudly. Everyone woke up. But when they looked around, the woman had disappeared. The disappearance. The next morning, Hamza was missing. His camera was lying on the ground. When they checked the recorded footage, their blood ran cold. In the video, the same mysterious woman appeared during the night. She stood beside Hamza and slowly motioned for him to follow her. Like he was hypnotized, Hamza walked with her into the dark forest. The video ended there. The terrifying truth. They followed Hamza's footsteps deep into the jungle. Eventually, they found an ancient ruined temple. Inside, candles were burning even though nobody was there. The walls were decorated with symbols made from human bones. Suddenly, a voice echoed in the darkness. "This island belongs to me." The woman appeared again, but now her face looked different. She no longer looked human. She looked like something ancient and evil. She spoke slowly. "Centuries ago, the people of this island burned me alive. My spirit was trapped here forever. Now anyone who comes to this island becomes mine." Suddenly the ground began to shake. Shadows appeared behind the trees. Dozens of them. They were people. the same people who had once come to the island, but they were no longer alive. Their eyes were empty, and they slowly began walking toward Ali and his friends. Ali tried to run, but it was too late. The final ending. The next morning, a fisherman passed near the island. On the shore, he saw a single camera lying in the sand. When he played the video, his hands started shaking. In the final footage, Ali and his friends were screaming while running through the forest. And behind them, the woman in the white dress was standing silently, smiling. Then the video suddenly ended. Since that day, people call that place by a new name, the island where no one ever returns. In the middle of the dark ocean, far away from civilization, there was a secret island prison built during 1943. The prison was known as Blackwater Prison, and it was designed to hold the most dangerous criminals in the world. The island was surrounded by deep ocean waters and sharp rocks. Escape was impossible. For the first few years, everything worked normally, but then strange things began to happen. Prisoners started screaming at night. Many of them claimed that someone was walking outside their cells, even though the guards found no one there. Some prisoners said they heard whispers coming from the walls. At first, the guards ignored these stories. They believed the prisoners were simply losing their minds. But one night, something happened that changed everything. A guard suddenly went insane. He kept repeating the same sentence again and again. "Do not open cell 13. He is still alive." But the prisoner of cell 13 had died years ago. His name was Marcus Grave. Marcus Grave was not just a criminal. Rumors said he practiced dark rituals and strange supernatural experiments. Before he died, he whispered something to the guards. "My soul will never leave this prison." After that day, terrifying events started happening inside the prison. Prisoners were found dead inside locked cells. Bloody messages appeared on the walls overnight, and sometimes the sound of chains could be heard moving through the empty hallways. Then came the night that ended everything. At midnight, every single cell door suddenly opened. All the prisoners walked out, but they didn't try to escape. Instead, they all walked towards cell 13. The guards tried to stop them, but suddenly all the lights went out. In the darkness, horrible screams echoed throughout the prison. When the sun finally rose the next morning, the prison was completely empty. No prisoners, no guards, no bodies, only empty cells and bloodstains on the walls. After that incident, the government abandoned the island forever. Many years later, decades later, for friends who made horror exploration videos decided to visit the island. Their names were Farad, Ali, Hassan, and Imran. They wanted to prove that the stories were nothing but myths. When their boat reached the island, dark clouds filled the sky. The air felt cold and heavy. As they entered the prison building, the sound of metal chains echoed through the corridors. Clank, clank, clank. Farad turned on his camera. "We are now inside Blackwater Prison." Suddenly, a metal door slammed shut somewhere deep inside the building. Bang! The friends froze. They slowly followed the sound. It led them to cell 13. The door was slightly open. As they pushed it open, their flashlights revealed strange words scratched into the walls. "He is still here." Suddenly, they heard footsteps behind them. Slow, heavy. When they turned around, a tall dark figure stood in the hallway. His face was blackened and his eyes glowed red. A cold whisper echoed through the prison. "Why did you wake me?" It was the spirit of Marcus Grave. Suddenly, the prison doors began opening one by one. Hands started reaching out from inside the cells. Ghostly hands. The spirits of the prisoners. And they all began screaming together, "Set us free." The next morning, a fisherman found a camera lying on the beach. The last frame of the video showed Marcus Grave standing close to the camera, smiling. Among sailors and fishermen, there was a terrifying legend about an island that didn't exist on any map. They called it the Last Island, because anyone who stepped on it never returned. According to the legend, the island appeared suddenly in the middle of the sea and disappeared again without warning. One stormy night, a cargo ship was caught in a violent storm. The captain of the ship was Cameron. Huge waves smashed against the ship as thunder roared across the sky. Through the thick fog, one of the sailors suddenly shouted, "Land ahead!" An island slowly appeared through the fog. With no other choice, the crew sailed toward it and landed on the shore. But the island felt strange. The trees had pale white leaves. The ground was covered with patches of dark mist, and the air felt unnaturally cold. The crew decided to camp near the beach for the night. At around 2 a.m., a strange sound woke them up. Knock, knock, knock. It sounded like someone was knocking from beneath the ground. One sailor gathered the courage to dig the soil. After a few minutes, he suddenly screamed. From under the ground, human hands were pushing through the dirt. Dozens of them. They were moving, trying to escape from beneath the earth. Suddenly, the ground started shaking violently. The soil cracked open. From inside the earth, a terrifying creature slowly emerged. Its body looked like it was made of black smoke. Its eyes glowed bright red. The creature stood tall and let out a horrifying scream toward the sky. The entire island trembled. Trees bent violently in the wind. The ocean waves crashed wildly against the shore. Captain Cameron shouted, "Run back to the ship." But it was too late. Hundreds of hands erupted from the ground. They grabbed the sailors' legs and dragged them back into the earth. Their screams echoed across the island. Then, everything became silent. The next morning, fishermen discovered a broken cargo ship floating in the ocean. The island had disappeared again. But sailors say that on certain nights, strange voices rise from beneath the sea, whispering endlessly, "Help us, get us out." In the middle of the vast ocean, there was a strange island that sailors feared deeply. People called it the Island of Darkness. No one knew exactly what happened there, but many ships that sailed near it never returned. Fishermen avoided the area completely, saying the island was cursed. According to the stories, the island was always covered in a strange dark fog. Even during the daytime, sunlight could barely reach the ground. One day, a research team decided to explore the island. The team included Bilal, Hassan, Rafi, Aisha, and Dr. Sami. They wanted to prove that the island's terrifying reputation was only a myth. When their boat reached the shore, they immediately noticed something strange. The island was completely silent. There were no birds in the sky, no insects in the air. Even the wind seemed to have stopped. Aisha whispered nervously, "Why is it so quiet here?" Dr. Sami tried to remain calm. "It's probably just an uninhabited island. Nothing more." But the deeper they walked into the forest, the stranger everything became. After some time, they discovered an old abandoned graveyard hidden among the trees. The gravestones were broken and covered with moss. When Hassan cleaned one of the gravestones with his hand, his face turned pale. Every single grave had the same date carved on it. It was the same day when an entire village on the island mysteriously disappeared many years ago. Suddenly, Bilal noticed something moving between the trees. A dark figure. It looked like a man standing in the shadows. But when they got closer, they realized something terrifying. The figure had no face, just darkness, and in a low whisper, it kept repeating, "This island will never let you leave." That night, something even worse happened. Rafi disappeared. The group searched the entire forest, but he was nowhere to be found. The next morning, they returned to the beach hoping to escape the island. But when they reached the sand, they saw something written on the ground. Written with deep marks in the sand were the words, "Who will be next?" Suddenly, dark shapes began appearing between the trees. Dozens of them. They were the shadows of people who had once come to the island. But they were no longer alive. And slowly, they began walking toward the terrified explorers. The silence of the island was soon broken by screams.